Good day, everyone. I believe that we can all agree that we are now quite familiar with the term public administration. And I believe that we all associate it with the people in the government or the tao sa gobyerno who are implementing policies and helping us to attend to our specific documents. Now, prior to this phase of public administration, the new public management, rather, new public administration was established first, where social equity was given an emphasis as one of the values to be achieved. They lessened their attachment to advocating efficiency and promote the justice or social justice, where individuals or citizens are were given a chance to participate. Anyway, we are here to discuss the fourth phase of public administration and the important details that make up this phase. Now, when did the NPM movement emerge? It was mentioned that European countries were already practicing the NPM movement back in the late 1970s and 1980s. Practicing. So, hindi pa talaga siya kilala as a movement back then. And nagkaroon lang siya ng popularity when luminaries like Christian Hood, Christian Pollitt, and Michael Barsley launched the term. And in the United Kingdom, the movement was introduced in the late 1970s during Margaret Thatcher's government. So, a little story about her government resorting to the movement in the UK during her administration was there was an economic decline. Siyempre, when we talk about economy, we really need strong measures para makaahon. So, her government implemented an increase to taxes on spending and put in austerity measures which involved lessening government spending, cutting non-essential programs, cutting wages of the government employees, and the government's budget. And I know that these mentioned measures will result in inflation and unemployment. So privatization of some assets happened, and privatization can be associated with businesses, which that businesses itself can help the economy. Therefore, the issue was gradually resolved and her policies continued to help the economy improve. Moving on, those three bullets po on the PowerPoint presentations are not really a direct example of new public management. But those three bullets transpired in New Zealand. Because New Zealand is one of the best examples of NPM praxis as mentioned in the article. Anyway, what can be seen in New Zealand's administrative reforms are privatized public functions, redevelop personal systems to become more performance oriented, new processes of productivity measures, and departmental systems that are re engineered to reflect the government's commitment. With these reforms, we can actually conclude that they are more focused on being efficient and productive in order to reach out to the public effectively. Now, New Zealand indeed is an effective representation of NPM because, like their government, NPM is also focused on achieving efficiency, and as a result of having performance oriented personnels, productivity was given more attention as well. These values here po in the PowerPoint presentation were introduced to us by one of the key persons in New Public Management. He is Christian Pollitt, who claimed that New Public Management is a shift to a managerialist movement. And managerialist here is about putting emphasis on the use of professional managers to manage the public and seeing businesses and organizations as the core of society rather than its citizens and their demands. So we have these five core beliefs that he also introduced. Number one, social progress is attained through increased economically defined productivity. Number two, the productivity increase is a result of the available technologies. Number three, the utilization of such technologies is achieved through labor force that are disciplined. Number four, management plays an important role in planning, implementing, and measuring the necessary improvements for the productivity. And in order to manage, number five, the managers have to have room to maneuver. You can observe that these beliefs appear to be a process or a consequence of one move or another. It seems like a cycle that starts from remembering to achieve social progress, to productivity, to technologies, to management, and lastly, to the role of managers. We can see that management is important or a good thing, rational and even value neutral, and is universally applicable because management is management regardless of where it is practiced, and the managers must have the right to manage. And remember that workers are accountable to their managers just as these managers are accountable to the public as a manifestation of that hierarchy of authority that bureaucracy promotes. Moving on, according to Den Hart in 2004, the ideas of new public management and reinventing government were essentially born out of the continuing search for solutions to economic problems in the 1970s, and to produce a government that works better but costs less. Basically, like how the Thatcher government resorted to the measures I mentioned a while ago, the NPM movement is inclined toward privatization and managing through the solutions that costs less. And NPM works better because it is one of the phases that aims to increase the efficiency of public policies, by transferring market principles and businesses management techniques from private sector to the public sector. Now, what we have in the next succeeding slides or what we think would help your understanding of the movement in public administration. Paano nga ba tayo nakarating sa new public management? So, back in the early 20th century, traditional public administration was established as a prevailing paradigm for public administration. It focused on hierarchy, formal procedures, and rule following, and at the same time promoting efficiency and accountability. However, like any other movements, it faced criticisms. Hence, we have the development of the new public management as a response to the shortcomings of traditional public administration. So, NPM now emerged as a new paradigm that aimed to improve the efficiency, effectiveness, and accountability of public services through the application of private sector management principles and practices to the public sector. New public management emphasized market-oriented values and techniques such as competition, performance measurement, and customer focused to improve public service. In the 1980s, under the conservative government of Thatcher, NPM-inspired reforms were introduced, and we already established that earlier, but as a reiteration, the reforms that were introduced back then included privatization, contracting out, and the creation of executive agencies with greater autonomy and flexibility. Now, critics of NPM have raised concerns about its potential negative impacts on public values such as accountability, equity, and social justice. Dahil market-oriented nga sila, hindi maiiwasan na magkaroon ng competitions between the organizations and maybe the employees as well because of incentives. And ma-overlook talaga yung equity na pinaglalaban ng new public administration and magkakaroon ng winners or losers. Moreover, if the diminishment of public values took place, there is a big possibility na magkaroon ng divide, and it might lead to scattered responsibilities which make coordination difficult.
Importance of NPM can be understood from several perspectives. First one is improving public sector performance. Why is this important? This is important to develop innovative ways to tackle long-standing challenges in NPM. Second one is enhancing accountability. This is all about taking responsibility for your actions. The third one is reducing costs. This Third one is the expenses reduce and facilitate income growth. The last one is empowering citizen. Why is it important to feature citizen empowerment? This because it is one of the major feature of new public management. This assures citizens freedom of choice and quality service to the citizen. Healthy competition among the service and product allows citizens to choose their service and product according to their needs and choice. Key proponents of NPM. The first one is Christopher Hood. According to him, NPM is necessary to address the inefficiencies and rigidities of traditional public administration. He assesses that NPM-based administration reforms based on the premise that effective vertical managerial accountability would translate to better performances. The second one is David Osborne and Ted Gabler. They argue that NPM is necessary to improve performances and responsiveness of public services. For them, the most important aspect of the argument was its rejection of the hierarchy architecture of most government bureaucracies. Third one is Mark Moore, argued that NPM provides alignment of objectives with the government. He acknowledged that private sectors provides model that could be adopted and successfully applied to the public sectors to improve efficiency and effectiveness as represented by strategic triangle. The idea of this public value was placed within the framework of the definition of the core strategic function of public management, based on a higher focus on community values. The fourth one is Alistair Robert. According to him, NPM is necessary to address the problems of bureaucracy and waste in public administration. He examines he examines the freedom of information study include transparency and secrecy. His paradigm may have greater discretion and freedom as how they go about achieving the goals set for them. The last key proponents of NPM is Peter Drucker. According to him, it is necessary to bring discipline and accountability to public management and improve the quality of public services. He believes in applying practices and so-called management principle to specific problems. In order to solve economic and social problems, sufficiency room to maneuver in order to implement of management in the basic principle.
To sum everything up, new public management is a movement that is more inclined towards privatization and management. Although almost all the phases of public administration were advocating for the meeting the needs of the society, this movement was not just for the people but for the managers as well. Because an efficient, effective, and excellent management is an efficient, effective, and excellent service for the public also. And that's for NPM. Moreover, new public management brought the emergence of performance management and objective management. With increased productivity, as a result, the output is perceivable through the execution of the programs and services. Finally, because bureaucracy tends to be rigid, new public management happened in order to serve the public with little to no rigidity and be more focused on ensuring that all things are done. Ultimately, code. It is an attempt to make the public sector more businesslike and to improve the efficiency of the government by borrowing ideas and management models from the private sector. End quote.